The text message that saved her life was sent to the wrong number. Lena Cross had 30 seconds before she passed out. Blood pooled beneath her cheek. Her phone screen cracked but still glowing, 3% battery. She typed with shaking fingers, one digit off from her brother's number, and hit send. 3 miles across the city, Adrian Voss looked at his phone, read 2 words, "Help me," and stood from a table where men twice his age went silent. He didn't ask questions. He gave one order. "Get the car. Stay with me until the end of this story. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this tale travels." The apartment smelled like expensive cologne and something darker underneath. Fear, maybe. Or blood. Lena couldn't tell anymore. Everything blurred at the edges, sounds coming through water, thick and distorted. She lay on the marble floor of the penthouse. Cold seeped through her blouse. Her ribs screamed with every shallow breath. 3 of them broken, she guessed. Maybe 4. Victor had good aim when he was angry, and tonight he'd been very angry. The door had locked from the outside 20 minutes ago. She'd heard the deadbolt slide into place, heard his footsteps fade down the hall. "Business dinner," he'd said. Back by midnight. She had maybe 2 hours. Her phone was 5 feet away, screen shattered into a spiderweb pattern, but somehow still functional. She'd crawled to it, each movement sending white-hot pain through her torso. Her fingers were slick with sweat or blood. She wasn't sure which anymore. The screen flickered. 3% battery. She pulled up her contacts with trembling hands. Found her brother's name. Michael. He'd know what to do. He'd come get her. He'd been telling her to leave for months, and she'd made excuses every time because Victor was charming in public and terrifying in private, and she'd somehow convinced herself that the good days outnumbered the bad. They didn't. They never had. She typed, "Help me," added the address. Her vision doubled. She blinked hard, tried to focus. Hit what she thought was Michael's number. The message went through just as her phone died, screen going black in her palm. Lena let her head drop back against the marble. She'd done what she could. Now she just had to stay conscious long enough for Michael to arrive. That was the plan, anyway. Across the city, in a restaurant where reservations required 6 months' notice and the wine list started at 4 figures, Adrian Voss sat at a private table with 5 men who controlled various pieces of the city's less legal infrastructure. They were discussing territory. Money. The usual. Adrian wasn't particularly interested. These meetings happened monthly, had happened for years, and the conversation never changed much. Someone always wanted more. Someone always thought they deserved a bigger cut. Adrian would listen, make a decision, and that would be that. He was 34 and had been running this operation since he was 26. 8 years. Long enough that most people had stopped testing him. The ones who had tested him early on weren't around anymore. His phone buzzed against the table. He glanced at it. Unknown number. Message preview showed 2 words. "Help me." Then an address. Everyone at the table kept talking. Adrian read the message again. Wrong number, probably. Someone's drunk text. Happened all the time. He should ignore it. He picked up his phone, unlocked it, read the full message. Just those 2 words and a street address in the financial district. Penthouse level. Something about it felt off. Not the words themselves. Plenty of people sent desperate texts to wrong numbers after too many drinks or a bad breakup. But the address. That building. He knew it. Knew who lived there. Victor Hale. Adrian's expression didn't change, but his eyes went cold. The man across from him stopped mid-sentence. "We're done here," Adrian said. "We haven't finished. We're done." He stood. Everyone else at the table went quiet. Adrian pulled cash from his wallet, dropped it on the table, enough to cover everyone's meal 3 times over, and walked toward the exit. Behind him, someone started to protest. His second-in-command, Marcus, shut them down with a look. Outside, Adrian's driver already had the car running. Marcus caught up to him on the sidewalk. "Problem?" Marcus asked. Adrian showed him the message. Marcus frowned. "Wrong number?" "Maybe." "That's Hale's building." "I know. You want to get involved in whatever this is?" Adrian didn't answer. He got in the car. Marcus hesitated, then got in beside him. The driver pulled into traffic without needing directions. He'd worked for Adrian long enough to know when not to ask questions. They made it 4 blocks before Marcus spoke again. "Hale's connected. You know that." "I know." He's got the DA's office in his pocket. Half the judges. He's careful. I know that too. So why are we doing this? Adrian looked out the window at the city sliding past. Neon reflected in puddles, late-night crowds spilling out of bars, normal people living normal lives, completely unaware of the machinery that ran beneath the surface. Because someone sent me that message, he said, and I want to know why. It wasn't the whole truth. The whole truth was more complicated. The whole truth involved a memory from 15 years ago. A girl who'd needed help that never came, and a promise Adrian had made to himself that he'd mostly failed to keep. But Marcus didn't need to know that. They arrived at the building 18 minutes after the message was sent. Adrian didn't wait for the driver to open his door. He was out and moving toward the entrance before the car fully stopped. The lobby was marble and glass, aggressively modern, the kind of place designed to make you feel small. A doorman in a burgundy uniform looked up from his desk. "Can I help?" Adrian walked past him. The doorman stood, started to object, saw Marcus behind Adrian, and sat back down. Some arguments weren't worth having. The elevator required a keycard for the penthouse level. Adrian pulled a device from his pocket. Marcus carried useful things and held it to the reader. The panel beeped. The elevator doors opened. They rode up in silence. Marcus checked his phone. Adrian watched the floor numbers climb. "Could still be a wrong number," Marcus said. "Could be. Could be a setup. Could be that too." The elevator opened directly into a penthouse foyer. Expensive art on the walls. Fresh flowers on a side table. Everything perfect and carefully arranged. The apartment door was closed but not locked. Adrian pushed it open. The first thing he noticed was the silence. The second thing was the smell. Not strong, but there. Metallic. He'd smelled it enough times to recognize it immediately. "Stay here," he told Marcus. He moved through the foyer into the main living area. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Furniture that cost more than most people made in a year. Everything pristine, except for the woman on the floor. She was small, dark-haired, maybe late 20s, lying on her side near the windows, not moving. For a second, Adrian thought he was too late, but then he saw her chest rise, shallow and uneven. He crossed the room, knelt beside her. Her face was turned away from him. He could see bruising along her jaw, dark and fresh. Her breathing rattled. "Hey," he said quietly. "Can you hear me?" No response. He checked her pulse, present but weak. Checked for obvious bleeding, nothing external. That meant internal, probably. Broken ribs, maybe worse. He pulled his phone, called his doctor. Private number, personal line, the kind of doctor who didn't ask questions and didn't keep official records. "I need you at my location," Adrian said when the call connected. "Now." He gave the address, hung up before there could be questions. The woman's eyes opened, unfocused at first, then landing on him. Brown eyes, very dark, scared. "Don't move," Adrian said. "Help's coming." She tried to speak. Nothing came out but a whisper. "What?" He leaned closer. "Wrong number." It took him a second to understand. Then he almost smiled. Almost. "Yeah," he said. "Wrong number." Her eyes closed again. Her breathing got worse. Adrian looked around the apartment, everything expensive and soulless, the kind of place that looked perfect in photos and felt empty in person. He'd been in 1,000 places like this. They all had the same smell underneath the designer furniture and fresh flowers. Desperation, usually. Sometimes worse. He heard the elevator ding in the foyer. Marcus's voice, low and calm, talking to someone. Then another voice, smooth, confident, annoyed. Victor Hale. Adrian stood as Hale walked into the living room. Mid-40s, silver hair styled perfectly. Suit that probably cost 5 figures. He stopped when he saw Adrian and something flickered across his face. Surprise, then calculation, then carefully constructed confusion. "I'm sorry," Hale said with practiced charm. "I think there's been a mistake. This is my home." "I know who you are," Adrian said. Hale's smile tightened. "I don't believe we've met." "We haven't." "Then perhaps you can explain what you're doing in my apartment." Adrian looked at the woman on the floor, then back at Hale. "Got a message. Came to check it out." Hale followed his gaze, and his expression shifted. Just for a moment, just enough. The mask slipped. Adrian saw anger there and something colder. I see, Hale said carefully. There's been an accident. My girlfriend, she fell. I was just coming back to check on her before calling for help. That right? Yes. Terrible thing. She'd been drinking. I told her to be careful, but he spread his hands in a what can you do gesture. Adrian didn't respond. Hale's smile went sharp at the edges. I appreciate your concern, Mr. Voss. The name landed. Hale's expression didn't change, but his posture did. Slightly. Just enough. Mr. Voss, he said slowly. I see. Well, as I said, this is a private matter, a personal matter. I'm sure you understand. She sent me a message. She was confused, the drinking, as I mentioned. Didn't smell alcohol. I'm sorry? When I checked her, didn't smell like she'd been drinking. Hale's jaw tightened. I don't appreciate the implication. Wasn't implying anything, just stating a fact. They stood there, 10 feet apart, the woman dying slowly on the floor between them. Outside the windows, the city glittered, oblivious. Hale broke first. Look, I understand you have a certain reputation, but this is none of your concern. This is my home, my girlfriend, and I'm asking you politely to leave. Can't do that? Excuse me? She asked for help. I came. Not leaving until I know she's safe. Hale laughed. Actually, laughed. Safe? From what exactly? Adrian didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew. Hale's laugh died. His face went cold. You're making a very serious mistake. Wouldn't be the first time. I have friends, Mr. Voss. Powerful friends. People who could make your life extremely difficult. I have friends too. Not like mine. Probably not, Adrian agreed. Mine are different. The elevator dinged again. Marcus appeared with a man carrying a medical bag. Adrian's doctor, gray-haired and efficient-looking. Where? The doctor asked. Adrian pointed. The doctor moved past Hale without acknowledging him, knelt beside the woman, started checking vitals. Hale watched this happen, and Adrian could see him calculating, trying to figure out how to spin this, how to control it, how to make it go away. He was used to being in control, used to people doing what he said because of who he was, who he knew. 3 broken ribs, the doctor said without looking up. Possible internal bleeding. She needs a hospital. No hospital, Adrian said. The doctor glanced at him. She needs no hospital. Can you handle it? A pause. The doctor looked at the woman, at Hale, back at Adrian. He'd worked with Adrian long enough to read situations like this. I can stabilize her, but she needs rest, monitoring, somewhere safe. I'll handle that. The doctor nodded, started pulling supplies from his bag. Hale stepped forward. Now wait just a... Adrian moved between him and the woman, didn't touch him, didn't threaten, just stood there, and that was enough. She's leaving with me, Adrian said quietly. Like hell she is. You can try to stop me. Won't end well for you. This is kidnapping. I'll call whoever you want. Tell them Adrian Voss took her. See what happens. Hale's face flushed red. You think you can just walk in here and... Already did. They stared at each other. The doctor worked behind Adrian, murmuring instructions to the woman, who was conscious now, but barely. Marcus stood by the elevator, hand resting casually near his jacket. Not a threat, just a fact. Hale looked around his perfect apartment, at these men who'd invaded it, at the woman he'd beaten who was about to disappear from his control. Adrian watched him process it all, watched him realize he'd lost this round. You're making a very serious enemy, Hale said, voice tight, controlled. Add it to the list. I will get her back. You can try. The doctor finished whatever he'd been doing. He looked at Adrian, nodded. Adrian stepped aside, let the doctor work. Between him and Marcus, they got the woman upright. She gasped, face going white, but stayed conscious. Can you walk? The doctor asked her gently. She nodded, tried. Her legs barely held her. Adrian moved to her other side, and together they got her toward the elevator. She was shaking, breath coming in short gasps. Every step clearly hurt. At the elevator, she looked back. At Hale. At the apartment. My phone, she whispered. Dead battery, Adrian said. You sent that message just in time. She focused on him for the first time, really looked at him. Who are you? Someone who got your text. I was trying to reach… I know, wrong number. I don't understand. Don't need to, not right now. The elevator doors opened. They helped her inside. Hale didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there in his perfect apartment with murder in his eyes. As the doors closed, Adrian heard him say one thing. This isn't over. Adrian didn't respond. The doors shut. They rode down in silence. The woman leaned heavily against the doctor, eyes half closed. In the lobby, the doorman very carefully looked the other way. Outside, the car was waiting. They got her into the back seat, the doctor beside her. Adrian took the front passenger seat. Marcus drove. Where to? Marcus asked. Adrian gave him an address. A safe house on the east side. Secure, quiet, off any official records. The kind of place he kept for situations exactly like this. As they pulled into traffic, the woman spoke from the back seat, voice weak but steady. Why did you come? Adrian looked out the window. You asked for help. But you don't know me. No? Then why? He didn't answer right away. Behind them, the doctor was checking her vitals again, murmuring reassurances. Because someone should have, Adrian said finally. She went quiet after that. Maybe she understood. Maybe she didn't. It didn't matter. They drove through the city, away from the gleaming financial district, away from Victor Hale and his pristine apartment, toward the kind of neighborhood where people minded their own business and didn't ask questions. The safe house was a converted warehouse, 3 floors, reinforced steel doors, security that would make a bank jealous. They got her inside up to the 2nd floor, where there were bedrooms and a medical setup that the doctor had insisted on years ago. The doctor settled her into a bed, hooked up an IV, gave her something for the pain. She fought it at first, eyes wide and scared. You're safe here, Adrian told her. I promise. I don't know you, she said again. No, but I know Victor Hale. No men like him, and I promise you're safe. She looked at him for a long moment. Then the drugs kicked in and her eyes closed. The doctor finished his work, packed his bag. She'll sleep for a few hours. When she wakes up, she'll be in pain. I'll leave medication. Someone needs to watch her. I'll handle it. The doctor nodded, started to leave, paused. What are you going to do? About what? About Hale. He's not going to let this go. I know. He has resources, connections. So do I. The doctor left. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Posted 2 men downstairs, he said. Rotation every 6 hours. No one gets in without clearance. Good. You want to tell me what we're doing here? Adrian looked at the woman sleeping in the bed, small and still, hooked to machines, bruises darkening on her skin. Keeping a promise, he said. Marcus waited, but Adrian didn't elaborate. After a minute, Marcus nodded and left. Adrian pulled a chair next to the bed, sat down. He should leave. Had a business to run, people depending on him, 100 things that needed his attention. He stayed. Outside the windows, the city continued its endless motion. Cars and people and lights, all of it indifferent to individual suffering, to private tragedies in expensive apartments. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. He didn't recognize it, but he could guess who it was from. You made a mistake tonight. Adrian deleted it without responding. Another text, a minute later. She belongs to me. He turned his phone off. The woman stirred in her sleep, made a small sound of pain. The monitors beeped softly. Adrian sat in the chair and watched the city through the window and thought about all the ways this was going to get complicated. He didn't regret it. Wouldn't change it. Some decisions you made because they were smart. Some you made because they were right. Sometimes those were the same thing. Usually, they weren't. He stayed there through the night, watching her breathe, listening to the city, and waiting for morning. Manta. Lena woke to white ceiling and chemical smell and pain that radiated from her center outward, like she was breaking apart from the inside. She tried to sit up, failed, gasped. Easy. Male voice, unfamiliar. Don't move too fast. She turned her head slowly. The man from the apartment sat in a chair next to her bed. Same dark eyes, same calm expression. He looked tired but alert. "Where am I?" Her voice came out scratched and rough. "Somewhere safe." "That's not an answer. It's the one you're getting right now." She looked around. Bedroom, sparse but clean. Medical equipment, windows showing daylight, morning maybe, or afternoon. She'd lost track. "How long have I been asleep?" "About 10 hours. "I need to—" She tried to sit up again. Pain hit like a wall. She fell back, breathing hard. "You have 3 broken ribs and severe bruising," the man said. "Doctor says you need to rest, so rest." "I don't even know who you are." "Adrian." "That's it? Just Adrian?" "For now." She stared at him. He stared back. Neither of them blinked. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "You sent a message. To the wrong number. Lucky break." "Was it?" Something flickered across his face, almost a smile, but not quite. "Depends on your perspective." Lena closed her eyes, tried to process. She'd texted Michael. She was sure of it, except apparently she hadn't. Apparently she'd texted a complete stranger who'd shown up at Victor's apartment and done what exactly? "What happened after I passed out?" she asked. "I took you out of there." "Victor didn't stop me. He's going to come looking for me." "Let him." She opened her eyes, looked at Adrian, really looked at him. He was younger than she'd first thought, mid-30s maybe. Well-dressed, but not flashy. The kind of face you'd forget in a crowd unless you looked closely at the eyes. The eyes didn't forget anything. "Who are you?" she asked. "Really?" "Someone who doesn't like men who beat women." That's not an answer either. It's the one that matters. A knock at the door interrupted them. An older man entered, the doctor from last night, she realized. He checked her vitals, asked questions, changed her IV bag. Professional and efficient. "Healing well," he said, "but you need rest. At least a week before you should even think about moving around much." "I can't stay here for a week," Lena said. "Why not?" Adrian asked. "Because I have a life, a job. People will worry." "Who?" She hesitated. That was the problem, wasn't it? Who would worry? Victor controlled her access to everyone. Her friends had slowly disappeared over the past 2 years. Her family, she'd pushed them away because Victor made it easier that way, and shame made it easier still. "My brother," she said finally. "The one you were trying to text?" "Yes." "What's his name?" "Michael. Michael Cross." Adrian pulled out his phone, made a note. "I'll reach out. Let him know you're safe." "He doesn't know you." "So?" "So he'll think I've been kidnapped." "Have you?" The question hung there. Lena thought about it, about the apartment, the locked door, Victor's carefully constructed cage. "No," she said quietly. "I haven't." Adrian nodded, put his phone away. The doctor finished his work and left. Adrian stood, moved toward the door. "Wait," Lena said. "That's it? You're just leaving? You need rest." "I need answers." He paused. "About what?" "About everything. About who you are, why you really came, what happens now." "What happens now is you heal, rest, figure out what you want to do next." "And Victor?" "What about him?" "He's not going to let this go. You know that." Adrian turned back to face her. His expression hadn't changed, but something in his eyes went cold. "I'm counting on it." Then he left. Lena lay there in the strange bed, in the strange room, listening to footsteps fade down a hallway. Her ribs hurt. Her head hurt. Everything hurt. But for the first time in 2 years, she wasn't afraid. Lena woke again to darkness and the sound of rain against windows. The pain had dulled to a constant ache, manageable as long as she didn't breathe too deeply or move too quickly. She'd learned that lesson the hard way 6 hours ago when she'd tried to get up to use the bathroom and nearly blacked out. A woman had appeared then. 30s, dark skin, efficient movements. She'd helped Lena without asking questions, checked the IV, adjusted the pain medication. Her name was Teresa, and she worked for Adrian. That was all Lena had gotten out of her. Now Teresa sat in the chair Adrian had occupied earlier, reading something on her phone. She looked up when Lena shifted. You need something? Water, Lena said. Teresa poured from a pitcher on the nightstand, held the cup while Lena drank. The water was cold and perfect. Lena hadn't realized how thirsty she'd been. What time is it? She asked. A little past 9, evening. So she'd slept through most of the day. The medication, probably. Her thoughts felt clearer now, though, sharp enough to start asking the questions that had been building. Where's Adrian? Working. Working on what? Teresa's expression didn't change. Not my business to say. Is it your business to keep me prisoner here? You're not a prisoner. Then I can leave? You can try. Won't make it past the lobby before you collapse, but you can try. Lena looked at her. Teresa looked back, completely unbothered. He's not what you think, Teresa said after a moment. I don't know what I think. I don't know anything. You know he pulled you out of that apartment. You know you're alive because of him. That's more than nothing. It was. Lena knew that, but it didn't answer the larger questions. Who was Adrian Voss? What did he want? And why had he really come when she'd sent that text? The door opened. A man walked in, not Adrian. Tall, broad-shouldered, late 30s. He had the kind of face that had seen too much and stopped being surprised by any of it. She awake? He asked Teresa. Obviously. He walked to the bed, looked down at Lena. I'm Marcus. I work with Adrian. Congratulations. A flicker of something, amusement maybe, crossed his face. Got some questions for you. You feel up to answering them. Do I have a choice? Always have a choice. But these questions might keep you alive, so I'd recommend cooperating. He pulled up another chair, sat down. Teresa stayed where she was. Lena felt outnumbered and didn't like it. How long were you with Victor Hale? Marcus asked. 2 years, almost. He hit you before? That's personal. That's a yes. How often? Lena's jaw tightened. Why does it matter? Because I need to know if this was an escalation or a pattern. Need to know if he's done this to other women. Need to know what we're dealing with. We? There's no we. I didn't ask for any of this. No. You asked for help. Got it. Now we're figuring out what comes next. Lena wanted to argue, but she was tired and in pain, and he wasn't wrong. She had asked for help, just not from them. It got worse over time, she said finally. Started with shoving, grabbing too hard. He'd apologize after. Flowers, gifts, promises. Then it happened again. And again. Last night was the worst. What triggered it? I asked about money. Marcus leaned forward slightly. What kind of money? My accounts. I tried to transfer some funds and couldn't. Everything was frozen. When I asked him about it, he got angry. How much money we talking about? I don't know exactly. 100,000, maybe more. My savings, inheritance from my parents. It was all in accounts he helped me set up. Something passed between Marcus and Teresa. A look Lena couldn't read. What? She asked. Nothing, Marcus said. Keep going. Well, what did he say when you asked about it? That I was being paranoid, that he was managing it for me, keeping it safe. When I pushed, She stopped, swallowed. He said I should trust him, that everything he did was for my protection. You believe that? I did. For a long time I did. But last night something felt wrong. The way he looked at me when I asked, like I'd crossed some line I didn't know existed. Marcus nodded slowly, pulled out his phone, made some notes. You know what he does for a living? He's an attorney, corporate law, mergers, acquisitions, that kind of thing. He tell you that? Yes. Why? Because Victor Hale doesn't practice corporate law. He's a defense attorney, criminal defense, high-profile cases, the kind of clients who pay 7 figures to stay out of prison. The words landed like stones. Lena stared at him. That's not... He told me... He lied. Question is why. Question is what else he lied about. Lena's head spun. 2 years. She'd been with him for 2 years, and she didn't know what he actually did for a living, didn't know where her money had gone, didn't know anything real about the man who'd shared her bed and her life, and eventually her blood on his marble floor. I need to see my brother, she said. Working on it. When? Soon. Adrian's reaching out, making sure it's safe. Safe from what? Marcus and Teresa exchanged another look. Safe from Victor, Marcus said. He knows where your brother lives, knows where he works. If he thinks Michael knows where you are, he'll use that. Cold settled in Lena's stomach. He wouldn't he? She wanted to say no, wanted to believe Victor had limits, but she'd thought he had limits about hitting her too, and last night had proven otherwise. What do you people want from me? She asked quietly. Right now, just answers. Later? Marcus shrugged. That's up to Adrian. And who is Adrian? Someone you're lucky got your text. Everyone keeps saying that. No one explains what it means. Teresa stood. Means he runs things. Means people listen when he talks. Means Victor Hale picked a fight with the wrong person when he put his hands on you. She left. Marcus stayed. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow you'll feel better. We'll talk more then. I don't want to talk more. I want to go home. You don't have a home, not anymore. Not if you go back to that apartment. It's my apartment. My name's on the lease. Your name, his money, his control. You go back there, you're dead in a week, maybe less. The certainty in his voice made her chest tight. You don't know that. I know men like Victor Hale know what they do when someone embarrasses them. You leaving with Adrian. That's embarrassment. That's a challenge. He can't let that stand. So what am I supposed to do? Hide here forever? No, you heal. You think. You decide what you want. Then we help you get it. Why? What's in it for you? Marcus stood, walked to the door, paused with his hand on the frame. Adrian's got his reasons. I don't question them. But since you asked, sometimes helping one person hurts someone who deserves hurting. That's enough for me. He left. Lena lay in the darkness, listening to the rain, trying to piece together a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Nothing made sense. Nothing felt real. Her phone was gone. Her money was gone. Her apartment might as well be gone. Everything she'd built over 2 years had been stripped away in one night, and she was left here in a stranger's safe house, dependent on people she didn't know for reasons she didn't understand. She should be terrified. Instead, she felt something else, something that had been buried under fear and control and careful compromises for so long she'd almost forgotten it existed. Anger. Victor had lied. About his work, about her money, probably about 100 other things. He'd isolated her, controlled her, beaten her, and convinced her it was love. It wasn't love. It had never been love. The anger burned hot and clean. It hurt worse than her ribs. She closed her eyes and let it fuel her through the pain. Across the city, in an office that overlooked downtown, Adrian sat at a desk covered in files and listened to a man named Chen explain why Victor Hale was more dangerous than anyone had realized. Chen was a financial investigator, the kind who knew how to trace money through shell companies and offshore accounts and creative accounting that technically wasn't illegal but definitely wasn't ethical. Adrian had used him before. Chen was expensive and thorough and didn't ask questions about why the information was needed. Hale's been running a laundering operation for at least 3 years, Chen said, spreading documents across the desk. Maybe longer. Uses his law practice as cover, takes on clients who pay in cash, runs it through various accounts, cleans it, sends it back minus his cut. How much money? Adrian asked. Conservatively? 30 million? Could be double that. Adrian looked at the papers. Bank statements, transfer records, account numbers. Who are the clients? That's where it gets interesting. Most of it traces back to the Volkov organization. The name made Marcus, standing by the window, turn around. Volkov? You're sure? 90%. The other 10% is buried too deep to confirm, but the patterns match. Adrian sat back in his chair. The Volkov organization was Russian mob, old school, vicious. They controlled drug trafficking on the East Coast, some human trafficking, plenty of violent crime. Adrian had avoided them for years because tangling with Volkov meant bodies and complications neither side needed. So Victor Hale is cleaning money for the Russian mob, Adrian said. What else? He's smart about it, uses multiple cutouts. But here's the thing. Chen pulled out another document. 3 months ago, he opened new accounts, personal accounts, started moving money into them. Small amounts at first, then larger. all under someone else's name. Whose? Chen slid a paper across the desk. Adrian looked at the name printed there. Lena Cross. He's using her to hide his assets, Chen said. Probably has been for a while. Her name, her social security number, her identity. She's the account holder on paper. Legally, all that money belongs to her. Marcus whistled low. How much? In her name? About 4 million. But she's not the only one. He's got 3 other women set up the same way. Different amounts, different accounts, but same pattern. Let me guess, Adrian said. These women all dated him. 2 current, 1 ex. The ex died 6 months ago. Car accident. Convenient. Very. Police ruled it accidental. No investigation. Adrian looked at the files, at the evidence of a man who'd built an empire on laundered money and stolen identities, and women who probably had no idea they were being used. Does Lena know? He asked. About the money in her name? Doubt it. She'd have to know where to look. And if Hale was smart, which he is, he made sure she never looked. So if she walks away, Marcus said slowly, she walks away with $4 million that legally belongs to her. In theory, Chen said. In practice, the minute she tries to access those accounts, Hale knows. And the people he's working for know. And they'll want their money back. Which makes her a target, Adrian said. A very valuable target. Adrian stood, walked to the window. The city spread out below, all light and shadow. Somewhere out there, Victor Hale was planning his next move. And somewhere closer, in Adrian's safe house, Lena Cross was sleeping with no idea that she'd become the most dangerous kind of liability, the kind worth millions. Can you get me copies of everything? Adrian asked Chen. Account numbers, transaction records, all of it. Already done. Flash drive's in the envelope. Good. Send your invoice to Marcus. Chen packed his materials, left. Marcus joined Adrian at the window. This is bigger than we thought, Marcus said. Yeah. You want to walk away? Adrian didn't answer right away. Walking away would be smart. Victor Hale was connected, dangerous, backed by people who made Adrian's operation look like a corner store. Getting involved meant war. War meant casualties. It always did. But he thought about Lena on that floor, barely breathing, abandoned in a locked apartment by a man who'd been systematically destroying her life while stealing her identity. He thought about 3 other women in the same situation, one of them dead, the others probably next. No, he said. You know what you're starting here. Yeah. Volkov's not going to let this slide. You take Hale down, you're taking their money pipeline with him. They'll come after you. Let them. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed, short and sharp. You're going to get us all killed over a woman you met 12 hours ago. Maybe. She's not going to thank you for it. Once she finds out how complicated this is, she'll probably run. That's her choice. And if she runs straight back to Hale, she won't. How do you know? Adrian turned from the window. Because I saw her face when she sent that text. Saw what it cost her to ask for help. She's not going back. She's moving forward, just needs to figure out which direction. Marcus shook his head but didn't argue further. He'd worked with Adrian long enough to know when a decision was made. I'll put more security on the safe house, Marcus said, and reach out to her brother. Set up a meeting somewhere neutral. Good. And find out everything you can about those other 2 women, where they are, how much they know. You thinking of pulling them out too? If they want out, everyone deserves a choice. Even if the choice gets them killed? Especially then. Marcus left. Adrian stayed at the window, watching the city, thinking about choices and consequences and all the ways this could go wrong. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. 3rd one today. You have something that belongs to me. Adrian typed back for the first time. She belongs to herself. The response came immediately. You don't know who you're dealing with. I could say the same. A pause. Then, meet me, tomorrow, neutral ground. We can discuss this like reasonable men. Adrian almost laughed. There was nothing reasonable about Victor Hale. Nothing reasonable about men who beat women and stole their identities and worked for organizations built on violence. But a meeting meant opportunity, meant a chance to look Hale in the eye and understand exactly what kind of threat he posed. Where? Adrian typed. The Meridian. Noon. Come alone. The Meridian was a restaurant downtown, expensive and public. Lots of witnesses. Smart choice for a meeting that could go sideways. Fine, Adrian sent. He pocketed his phone and headed back to the safe house. He wanted to check on Lena, make sure the security was solid, prepare for whatever tomorrow would bring. The drive took 30 minutes through rain-slick streets. When he arrived, Teresa met him at the door. She's awake, Teresa said. Asked about you. What did you tell her? That you'd be back, that she's safe. Not sure she believes me. Would you? No. Adrian went upstairs. Lena was sitting up in bed, still hooked to the IV but looking stronger than this morning. The bruises on her face had darkened to deep purple. She watched him enter with wary eyes. You look better, he said. I feel like I got hit by a truck. Close enough. He sat in the chair. Marcus talked to you? Yeah, he had a lot of questions. You answer them? Some. Didn't know the answers to others. She paused. He said Victor's a criminal defense attorney. That true? Yes. Why would he lie about that? Same reason he lied about everything else. Control. Easier to control someone when they don't know who you really are. Lena looked down at her hands. I feel stupid. Don't. He's good at what he does. You're not the first. Won't be the last. That's supposed to make me feel better. It's supposed to make you feel less alone. She met his eyes. I want to see my brother. I know. Working on it. When? Soon. Need to make sure it's safe first. Safe from what? From Victor or from you? The question was sharp, fair. From Victor, Adrian said. I'm not keeping you from your brother. I'm keeping both of you alive long enough to have a reunion. You think he'd hurt Michael? I think he'd use Michael to get to you, which means Michael's in danger whether he knows it or not. Lena processed that. Fear flickered across her face, then anger replaced it. This is insane. 3 days ago, my biggest problem was a locked door. Now you're telling me my brother's in danger, my money's gone, and my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, is some kind of criminal working for worse criminals. That about covers it. And you? What are you? Adrian smiled slightly. Worst question to ask. Why? Because you might not like the answer. Try me. He leaned back in the chair, studied her. She was tougher than she looked. Most people would have fallen apart by now. She was angry instead. Angry was good. Angry meant fight. I run an organization, he said. Not the legal kind. We handle things that fall through the cracks. Protection, sometimes. Information. Other services as needed. You're a criminal. By most definitions, yes. Then why should I trust you more than Victor? Because I've never lied to you, and I'm not planning to start. That's a low bar. It's the only one I've got. They sat there in silence. Rain hammered the windows. Somewhere in the building, footsteps echoed. I want my life back, Lena said quietly. Can't have it. Not the old one. That's gone. Then what am I supposed to do? Build a new one. Better one. Just like that? No, it'll be hard, dangerous probably, but possible. She laughed, bitter and sharp. You don't even know me. Why do you care? Adrian thought about that. About the real answer, the complicated one. About the girl from 15 years ago who'd needed help that never came. About promises made and broken and the weight of both. Because someone should, he said finally. It was the same answer he'd given in the car. It was still true, just not complete. Lena seemed to sense that, but she didn't push. What happens now? Now you rest. Tomorrow I meet with Victor, see what he wants. You're meeting with him? Why? Because he asked, and because I want to look him in the eye and make sure he understands what happens if he comes near you again. That sounds like a threat. It is. He'll bring people, security. He won't meet you alone. I know. Then you're walking into a trap. Maybe. Maybe he is. We'll find out. Lena shook her head. This is crazy. All of this. I should leave, figure this out on my own. You could try. Door's not locked. Really? Really. You want to leave? Leave. I'll have someone drive you wherever you want to go. She looked at him for a long moment. Testing, he thought, seeing if he meant it. What if I want to go back to the apartment? I'd advise against it, strongly, but it's your choice. And if I want to go to the police? Tell them what? That your boyfriend hit you? They'll take a statement, maybe file charges if you're lucky. Victor's got lawyers who'll bury it in paperwork. He'll be out in hours. And you'll be... He paused. Where will you be? She didn't answer. You're safer here, Adrian said. For now. Until we figure out the next move. We? If you want help. If you don't, that's fine too. But the offer stands. Lena pulled her knees up carefully, winced at the pain. I don't understand you. That makes two of us. Why are you really doing this? Already told you. I don't believe you. There's something else, something you're not saying. Adrian stood, walked to the window. The rain had slowed to drizzle. The city lights reflected in wet pavement, distorted and strange. Had a sister once, he said, not looking at Lena, looking at the city. Long time ago. She got involved with a man, wrong kind. He hurt her. She asked for help. By the time anyone listened, it was too late. The words hung in the air. He'd never told anyone that story, never said it out loud. It felt wrong and necessary at the same time. I'm sorry, Lena said softly. Me too. That's why you came. Why you helped me. Part of it. What's the other part? He turned from the window, looked at her directly. The other part is Victor Hale's been hurting people for a long time, hiding behind money and connections in a system that protects men like him. Someone needs to stop him. Might as well be me. That sounds personal. Everything's personal if you dig deep enough. Lena was quiet. Then she said, I want to help. Help how? With whatever you're planning, however I can. You need to heal first. After that. Adrian considered. It was a bad idea. Getting her involved would put her in more danger, complicate everything, probably get someone killed. But he saw the look in her eyes, the same anger he'd recognized earlier, hardening into something else. Purpose, maybe. We'll see, he said. That means no. That means I'll think about it. He headed for the door. Adrian, Lena called. He paused. Thank you. For coming. For all of this. He nodded once and left. Outside her room, Marcus waited in the hallway. She seems stronger, Marcus said. She is. You tell her about the money? Not yet. When? When she's ready to hear it. They walked downstairs together. At the bottom, Marcus said, Meeting with Hale tomorrow. You sure about this? No. Want backup? He said come alone. Since when do you listen to what people like him say? Adrian smiled. Fair point. Stay close, but not too close. I want to hear what he has to say. And if what he has to say is a bullet, then you make sure he doesn't leave that restaurant. Marcus nodded. They'd worked together long enough that details weren't necessary. They understood each other. Adrian left the safe house, drove through the wet streets, went back to his own place, a loft downtown, secure and private. He poured a drink, stood at his window, looked at the city the same way he had from his office earlier. Somewhere out there, Victor Hale was planning, scheming, probably calling in favors, mobilizing resources, preparing for war. Good. Adrian had been running his operation carefully for 8 years, avoiding unnecessary conflict, building power through strategy instead of violence. It had worked. He'd become successful, wealthy, untouchable. He'd also become bored. This, Lena, Victor, the whole mess, was complicated and dangerous and probably stupid. It was also the most alive he'd felt in years. He finished his drink and went to bed. Tomorrow he'd sit across from a monster and negotiate terms. Tomorrow he'd find out just how far this was going to go. He slept well despite everything. Or maybe because of it. The Meridian sat on the corner of 5th and Market, all glass and steel, and the kind of understated elegance that cost more than it looked. Adrian arrived 15 minutes early, parked 2 blocks away, and walked the rest. The rain had stopped overnight, leaving the sidewalks slick and the air heavy with that after-storm smell. Marcus was already in position across the street, sitting in a coffee shop with a clear view of the restaurant's entrance. 2 more of Adrian's people were stationed nearby, Close enough to respond, but far enough not to spook anyone. Adrian had said he'd come alone. He hadn't said he'd come stupid. Inside, the restaurant was half full with the lunch crowd. Businessmen making deals over overpriced steaks. Women who lunched picking at salads that cost $40. Everyone important or trying to look like they were. The hostess smiled when Adrian approached. "Do you have a reservation?" "Meeting someone. Victor Hale." Her smile brightened with recognition. "Of course. Mr. Hale is already here, right this way." She led him through the dining room to a corner booth with a view of the street. Victor sat there looking exactly like a man who belonged in a place like this. Expensive suit, perfect hair, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. He stood when Adrian approached, extended his hand. Adrian looked at it, didn't take it. Victor's smile tightened at the edges. He lowered his hand, gestured to the seat across from him. "Please, sit." Adrian sat. The hostess disappeared. A waiter materialized, asked about drinks. Victor ordered scotch. Adrian ordered water. "Not drinking?" Victor asked when the waiter left. "Not thirsty." "Suit yourself." Victor leaned back, studied Adrian with the kind of look that was supposed to be intimidating. "I appreciate you coming. You made it sound important." "It is. We have a situation that needs resolving." "What situation is that?" Victor's jaw tightened. "Don't play games. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You took something that belongs to me. She's not a thing, and she doesn't belong to you." Lena is confused, upset. She sent you a message meant for someone else, and you took advantage of the situation. That how you remember it? That's how it happened. The waiter brought their drinks. Victor took a long sip of his scotch. Adrian left his water untouched. "Here's what's going to happen," Victor said, setting his glass down carefully. "You're going to tell me where Lena is. I'm going to collect her. We're going to forget this entire unfortunate incident ever occurred." "No." Victor blinked, like the word didn't compute. "Excuse me?" "She's not going back to you. Not now. Not ever." "I don't think you understand the situation. I understand perfectly. You beat her, locked her in your apartment, left her to die on your floor. Now you want her back so you can finish what you started." "That's not—" Victor stopped, took a breath, recalibrated. "There was an accident, a misunderstanding. Lena and I had a disagreement. Things got out of hand. I regret that, but it's a private matter between us." "Nothing private about what you did. You have no idea what you're interfering with." "Then explain it to me." Victor's eyes went cold. The charming mask slipped, just for a second, and Adrian saw what Lena had seen that night on the floor. The real person underneath all the polish. "You're playing a dangerous game, Mr. Voss. Walking into situations you don't understand, making enemies you can't afford." "I've got plenty of enemies. What's one more?" "I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the people I work for. People who don't take kindly to interference in their business." "You mean Volkov?" Victor went very still. "I don't know what you're—" "Save it. I know about the money laundering, know about the accounts, know exactly what you've been doing and who you've been doing it for." The silence stretched. Around them, the restaurant continued its normal rhythm. Conversations, laughter, the clink of silverware on expensive plates. None of them aware that two men were discussing murder over lunch. "You're making a mistake," Victor said quietly. "Heard that before. This isn't like whatever small-time operation you run. These people, they don't negotiate. They don't forgive. You cross them, you disappear." "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning from someone trying to help you." Adrian almost laughed. "You don't help people. You use them. Lena, those other women, everyone in your life, you use them until they're not useful anymore." "What other women?" "The ones whose identities you stole, whose accounts you control, including the one who died 6 months ago in that very convenient car accident." Victor's expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes shifted. Calculation, probably. Trying to figure out how much Adrian knew and how much damage he could do with it. "You're in over your head," Victor said. "Then I'll swim." "This isn't a joke." "Do I look like I'm joking?" Victor finished his scotch, signaled for another. When the waiter brought it, Victor took a long drink before speaking again. "What do you want?" "Excuse me?" "Everyone wants something, money, power, territory. What's your price for walking away from this? There is no price. Everyone has a price. Not for this. Victor stared at him. You're serious? Completely. You're going to start a war over a woman you don't even know? Already started it the moment I walked into your apartment. Victor's hand tightened around his glass. You have no idea what you've done. Sure I do. I took something you thought you owned. Now you're scrambling to figure out how to get it back without looking weak to the people you answer to. I don't answer to anyone. Keep telling yourself that. Victor leaned forward, dropped the pretense entirely. Give her back. Now. Or what happens next is on you. What happens next is you leave her alone. You forget she exists. You move on with your life. And if I don't, then we find out exactly how much protection your friends really provide. Victor stood abruptly. The conversation at the next table paused. He pulled cash from his wallet, threw it on the table. More than enough to cover both drinks. You're a dead man, he said. Quiet. Certain. Get in line. Victor walked out. Adrian stayed seated, watching through the window as Victor climbed into a black town car and drove away. Across the street, Marcus caught his eye through the coffee shop window. Adrian gave a small shake of his head. Not yet. He finished his water, left money for a tip the waiter didn't deserve, and walked out into the afternoon. The sun had broken through the clouds, making the wet pavement shine. People hurried past, absorbed in their own small dramas. His phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. That went well. Adrian typed back. Define well. Nobody died. That's well for us. Fair point. Meet back at the office. He walked to his car, checking his surroundings out of habit. No one following, no obvious surveillance. But Victor wasn't stupid. He'd have people watching, gathering information, planning the next move. Good. Adrian wanted him planning, wanted him distracted, because while Victor focused on getting Lena back, Adrian would be dismantling everything else. At the office, Marcus waited with Chen and two other members of Adrian's inner circle. They gathered around the conference table like generals planning a campaign, which, in a way, they were. How'd it go? Chen asked. About how you'd expect. He threatened me. I threatened him. Nobody backed down. So now what? Now we move. Fast. Before he has time to coordinate with Volkov. Adrian looked at Chen. Those account numbers you pulled. Can you access them? Access, yes. Move money out? That's trickier. Need authorization codes, security protocols. Hale's smart. He's got multiple layers protecting those accounts. What if you had someone on the inside, someone with legal access? Like Lena? Chen frowned. She'd need to know account numbers, passwords, security questions. And even then, moving that much money would trigger alerts. What if we don't move it? What if we just freeze it? You mean lock Hale out of his own operation? Exactly, Chen considered. Possible. Would need Lena to file reports with the banks. Claim her identity was stolen, which technically it was. Banks would freeze everything pending investigation. How long would that take? To freeze? Few days? Maybe a week? To resolve? Months. Years, possibly. Marcus whistled. That would cripple Hale's operation. Volkov's money gets tied up in legal proceedings. Can't access it, can't move it. They'd be furious. That's the idea, Adrian said. Make Hale a liability. Let Volkov handle him for us. Cold, one of the others said. I like it. There's a problem, Chen said. Lena would have to go public, file police reports, fraud claims, probably testify. That puts a target on her back bigger than anything Hale could do. She'd need protection, Marcus said. More than that. She'd need to disappear after. New identity, new life, the kind of disappearing that doesn't leave traces. Adrian thought about Lena in the safe house. Angry, hurt, but stronger than she knew. I'll talk to her, see if she's willing. And if she's not, then we find another way. The meeting continued for another hour, planning contingencies and backup plans. By the time everyone left, Adrian had a headache and the beginning of an idea that was either brilliant or catastrophically stupid, probably both. He drove back to the safe house as evening settled over the city. Inside, Teresa met him at the door. She's been asking for you, Teresa said. How is she? Restless, wants to get up, move around. Doctor says another day or two before that's safe. Adrian went upstairs. Lena was sitting up in bed, reading something on a tablet Teresa must have given her. She looked up when he entered. "How'd it go?" she asked. "You know about that?" "Marcus told me this morning, before you left." Adrian pulled up the chair. "It went how it went. Victor wants you back. I told him no." "What did he say?" "Threatened me. Said I was making a mistake." "He's right." "Maybe. Too late now." Lena set the tablet aside. "Marcus also told me something else. About money. My money." Adrian had known this conversation was coming. Didn't make it easier. "What did he tell you?" "That Victor opened accounts in my name, a lot of accounts, with a lot of money. Money that isn't really mine, but legally is." She paused. "Is that true?" "Yes." "How much?" "About 4 million. The number hung there. Lena's expression didn't change. She'd already known, Adrian realized. Already processed it. "Where did it come from?" she asked. "Money laundering. Victor's been cleaning cash for the Russian mob, using your identity to hide it. So I'm technically a criminal. Technically, you're a victim. He stole your identity. You didn't know." "Will anyone believe that?" "Depends on who's asking." Lena was quiet for a moment, then she laughed, sharp and bitter. "This is insane. 3 days ago I was just, I don't know, trying to survive. Now, I'm sitting here with $4 million I can't touch, and people trying to kill me for money I didn't even know I had. That about sums it up. What am I supposed to do?" "That's up to you, but I have an idea." She looked at him warily. "I'm listening." Adrian laid it out. The plan to freeze the accounts, file fraud reports, tie up the money in legal proceedings. How it would hurt Victor, anger Volkov, potentially solve multiple problems at once. He also explained the risks, the target it would put on her back, the need to disappear afterward, the fact that her life would never be the same. Lena listened without interrupting. When he finished, she said, "If I do this, Victor goes down?" "Eventually, maybe not immediately, but yes." "And the people he works for?" "They'll be angry, but their anger will be directed at him, not you. He's the one who lost their money." "What about the other women, the ones Marcus mentioned? What about them? If we do this, does it help them too?" Adrian hadn't thought about that angle. "Possibly. If Victor's operation collapses, they might be free of him. Then I'll do it. You should think about this. Take time. It's not a decision to make lightly. I've been thinking about it since Marcus told me this morning. I'm done being a victim. Done letting Victor control my life. If I can hurt him, I will." There was steel in her voice. Adrian recognized it. The same quality he'd seen the night before. She'd been broken, but she was putting herself back together. The result wasn't the same person she'd been before. It was someone harder. "Okay," he said. "We'll set it up. But you need to understand, once we start this, there's no going back." "Good. I don't want to go back." The next 3 days moved fast. Chen worked with Lena, gathering information about the accounts, security questions, everything Victor had set up in her name. It turned out to be more extensive than anyone had realized. Not just bank accounts, but shell companies, investment portfolios, property deeds. Victor had built an entire financial empire on her stolen identity. Lena had been more useful than any of them expected. She remembered details, names, conversations that seemed innocuous at the time, but now made terrible sense. A dinner where Victor had her sign paperwork he said was for insurance. A weekend trip where he'd taken photos of her ID while she slept. 1,000 small moments that added up to systematic theft. On the 4th day, they filed the first reports. Fraud claims with 3 major banks, identity theft documentation with the police, emergency freeze requests on all accounts bearing her name. Chen had lawyers on standby to handle the legal fallout. Adrian had security doubled around the safe house. Victor's response came within hours. The call came to Adrian's private line, which was concerning. Not many people had that number. "Congratulations," Victor said when Adrian answered. "You just declared war." "Funny. Thought I did that 4 days ago. This is different. You've crossed a line." "Several, probably." "You think you're clever. Freezing the accounts. Using her to do it. Very clever. Wasn't trying for clever, just effective. It won't work. I have lawyers, judges. I'll have those accounts unlocked in a week. Maybe. Meantime, your friends are going to wonder why their money's suddenly inaccessible. Silence. Then, carefully controlled, you're making a very big assumption about who my friends are. Am I? When this is over, and it will be over, you're going to wish you'd taken my offer at the restaurant. What offer? You didn't make an offer. You made threats. I'm making one now. Walk away. Give me Lena. I'll make this disappear. You can go back to whatever small-time operation you run, and we'll pretend this never happened. Counteroffer. You disappear. Leave the city. Leave her alone. Maybe you live long enough to enjoy retirement. Victor laughed. Actually laughed. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Keep saying that. Doesn't make it true. My associates are already making plans. You. Your people. Everyone connected to you. You're all dead. Just don't know it yet. Your associates are going to be more concerned with their missing money than with me. And when they find out why it's missing, they're going to have questions. About you. About how careful you've been. About whether you're still useful. The silence lasted longer this time. Adrian had hit something true. You're a dead man, Victor said finally. So you keep saying. The line went dead. Marcus, who'd been listening on speaker, shook his head. He's panicking. Good. Panicking people make mistakes. Dangerous people who panic make fatal mistakes. For everyone around them. I know. Adrian's phone buzzed again. Different number, he answered. Mr. Voss? Unfamiliar voice, accented, Russian. Speaking. My name is Sergei. I work for people you've inconvenienced. Volkov's people. You know who we are. Good. Makes this easier. We have a problem. What problem is that? Money we cannot access. Because of reports filed by a woman who belongs to Victor Hale. Reports we believe you encouraged. She filed those reports herself. I just helped her understand her options. Semantics. The result is the same. Our money is frozen. Take it up with Hale. He's the one who put it in her name. We are taking it up with him. We're also taking it up with you. I'm listening. You have 48 hours to unfreeze those accounts. Get the woman to withdraw her claims. Make this problem go away. And if I don't, then we make you go away. Permanently. Seems like a waste of effort. Hale's your real problem. Hale is a problem we will handle. You are also a problem. Both can be true. Adrian considered. Volkov's organization didn't make empty threats. If they said 48 hours, they meant it. I can't control what she does, Adrian said. She filed those reports. They're legal, legitimate. You want them withdrawn? Convince her yourself. We don't negotiate with victims. We remove obstacles. Then you're going to be removing a lot of obstacles, because she's not the only one. 3 other women, all with similar accounts, all potentially filing similar claims. Another silence. Then, you're bluffing. Call Victor, ask him about Jennifer Morrison, Sarah Chen, Patricia Valdez. Ask him how many identities he stole, how much of your money he spread around. If this is true, it's true. Check for yourself. I'll wait. The line went dead. Marcus looked at Adrian with something between admiration and horror. You just set Volkov on Hale. Yep. They're going to kill him. Probably. And if they find out those other women aren't actually filing claims, then I bought us time, which is all I need. Adrian's phone rang again. This time it was Chen. We have a problem, Chen said without preamble. What kind? Patricia Valdez, one of the other women on Hale's list. She's dead. Adrian's stomach dropped. When? 2 hours ago. Car accident on the highway. Police are calling it driver error, but it's not. Not likely. Same as Jennifer Morrison. Same pattern. Where's Sarah Chen? Working on it. Had an address, but she's not answering her phone. Adrian stood, grabbed his jacket. Find her, now. Get people to her location. Already on it. Marcus? With me. They were out the door in seconds, moving fast. Sarah Chen lived on the west side, a middle-income neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but safe enough. Usually. They made it in 20 minutes, driving too fast through traffic. The apartment building was 3 stories, brick, the kind that had been renovated in the 90s and not touched since. Adrian took the stairs 2 at a time. Sarah's apartment was on the 2nd floor. The door stood slightly open. Adrian drew his weapon. Marcus did the same. They went in careful and quiet. The apartment was small. Living room, kitchen, bedroom visible through an open door, everything neat and organized. No sign of struggle. No sign of Sarah either. They cleared each room methodically. Empty. But in the bedroom, Adrian found something. A suitcase on the bed, half packed, clothes scattered around like someone had been interrupted. "She ran," Marcus said from the doorway. "Or someone took her. No blood, no signs of a fight. She packed a bag. I think she ran." Adrian's phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. "Looking for Sarah? We have her." Then a photo. Sarah Chen bound to a chair, tape over her mouth. Eyes wide with fear. 48 hours. The accounts. Or she dies. Adrian showed Marcus the phone. "They move fast," Marcus said. "They were already moving. Probably grabbed her right after Valdez." "What do we do?" Adrian thought fast. Volkov had Sarah, would kill her in 48 hours if the accounts weren't unfrozen. But unfreezing the accounts meant giving Victor exactly what he wanted. Meant Lena would lose her leverage. Meant this whole plan fell apart. "We find her," Adrian said. "In 48 hours? That's impossible." "Then we'd better hurry." They left the apartment, headed back to the car. Adrian called Chen. "Need you to trace something," Adrian said. "Photo sent from an unknown number. Location data, metadata, anything you can pull." "Send it over." Adrian forwarded the photo. Waited while Chen worked. "Nothing," Chen said after a minute. "Metadata scrubbed, location services disabled. Whoever took this knew what they were doing. There has to be something. Let me dig deeper, but don't hold your breath." Adrian hung up, looked at Marcus. "We need Lena," Adrian said. "For what?" "To make a choice. Her safety or Sarah's life." "That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair." Back at the safe house, Lena was out of bed for the first time, walking slowly around the 2nd floor with Teresa's help. She looked stronger, still in pain, but mobile. She saw Adrian's face and stopped. "What happened?" "Sarah Chen, one of the other women. Volkov has her." Lena's face went pale. "Is she alive for now? They want the accounts unfrozen. 48 hours, or they kill her." "Then unfreeze them." "If we do that, you lose everything. Victor gets what he wants. Volkov gets their money. Nothing changes. A woman's life is more important than that." "Is it?" "Because if we back down now, Victor wins. He'll come for you next. And the cycle continues. More women, more victims." Lena stared at him. "You're saying we let her die?" "I'm saying we have 48 hours to find her, to change the equation. And if we can't find her..." Adrian didn't answer, didn't need to. "This is my fault," Lena said quietly. "I filed those reports. I started this." "Victor started this years ago. You're just finishing it. By getting people killed? By stopping him from killing more people. There's a difference." Lena walked to the window, looked out at the city. Her reflection in the glass showed a woman who'd aged years and days. "Find her," she said finally. "Do whatever you have to do. But find her." "And if we can't?" She turned. Her eyes were hard. "Then we make sure it means something. We make sure Victor and everyone working with him burns for this." Adrian nodded. It was the answer he'd expected. The only answer that made sense. They had 48 hours. The clock was already running. The next 36 hours blurred into a cycle of dead ends and mounting pressure. Chen worked his contacts, pulling favors from people who owed him and people who didn't. Marcus coordinated with Adrian's network across the city, shaking down informants, bribing dock workers, following leads that went nowhere. Adrian himself made calls to people he hadn't spoken to in years. People who operated in the spaces between legal and illegal, people who knew things. Nobody knew anything about Sarah Chen. Volkov's operation was too tight, too professional. They'd grabbed her clean and put her somewhere secure. Somewhere Adrian couldn't reach. At the 30-hour mark, Adrian stood in his office staring at a map of the city covered in red pins. Every Volkov property they knew about, every location they'd checked, Every place Sarah wasn't. The map looked like a murder scene. His phone rang. Marcus. Tell me you have something, Adrian said. Maybe. Got a tip from one of my guys at the docks. Says there's been unusual activity at a warehouse on Pier 17. Extra security, vehicles coming and going at odd hours. That's thin. It's all we've got. Adrian looked at his watch. 12 hours left. Set it up. Full team. We go in at midnight. If we're wrong, then we're wrong. But we can't sit here doing nothing. Marcus hung up. Adrian turned back to the map, found Pier 17, added another pin. It sat at the edge of the industrial district, isolated, easy to defend. Smart choice for holding someone. Maybe too smart. Maybe a trap. His phone buzzed again. Text from Teresa. She wants to see you. Adrian drove to the safe house. He'd been avoiding Lena the past day and a half, focused on finding Sarah, not wanting to face the questions he couldn't answer. But avoiding her wouldn't make the clock stop. She was in the common area on the second floor, sitting in a chair by the window, still moving carefully, but stronger. The bruises on her face had shifted from purple to yellow-green, healing, but slowly. Any news? She asked when he walked in. Possible lead. Won't know until tonight. What happens if it's not her? We keep looking. We don't have time to keep looking. Adrian sat across from her. I know. So what's the real plan? If we don't find her in time? He'd been thinking about that. Had been thinking about little else. We have options. Like what? We could unfreeze the accounts. Give Volkov what they want. And then? Then Sarah lives. You lose your leverage. Victor probably comes after you. Volkov goes back to business as usual. So we save one person and doom how many others? I didn't say it was a good option. Lena looked out the window. The city spread before her, indifferent and vast. What's the other option? Adrian didn't want to say it, said it anyway. We don't unfreeze the accounts. We let the deadline pass. Sarah dies. But we keep the pressure on. Eventually something breaks. Eventually. While how many more people die? I don't know. That's not good enough. It's all I have. She turned to face him. Her eyes were red but dry. She'd done her crying already. Now there was just anger. There has to be another way. I'm open to suggestions. What if I trade myself? No. Why not? That's what they want, right? Victor wants me back. Volkov wants their money. I could offer to come in, unfreeze everything, make this go away. And then they kill you and Sarah both. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Men like Victor, organizations like Volkov, they don't leave witnesses. You go in there, you're dead. End of story. At least Sarah would have a chance. No, she wouldn't. Neither would you. Lena stood, paced to the window and back. Each step still hurt. She didn't let it show much. I can't just sit here while someone dies because of me. This isn't because of you, it's because of Victor. Because of a system that lets men like him operate for years without consequences. That doesn't help Sarah. No, it doesn't. They stood there in silence. Outside, the city continued its evening routine. Lights coming on, traffic thickening, people heading home to families and dinners and lives that didn't include countdowns to murder. I want to help, Lena said finally. Tonight. Whatever you're planning, I want to be there. Absolutely not. Why? Because you're still healing. Because it's dangerous. Because if something goes wrong, I need to know you're safe here. I don't need you to protect me. Maybe not, but I'm doing it anyway. You don't get to make that choice. Actually, I do. My operation, my rules. Her jaw tightened. This isn't your operation anymore. It stopped being just yours the minute you pulled me out of that apartment, the minute you decided to help me. Now it's both of ours. Adrian opened his mouth, closed it. She wasn't entirely wrong. You're not coming, he said. Then I'll leave. Walk out that door. Find my own way to help. You wouldn't make it 2 blocks? Try me. They stared at each other, neither backing down. Adrian recognized the look in her eyes, had seen it in the mirror often enough. Stubborn didn't cover it. This was the look of someone who'd made a decision and would break before bending. If you come, he said slowly, you do exactly what I say. When I say it, no arguments, no improvisation. Fine. And you stay in the vehicle. You don't get out unless I specifically tell you to. Okay. I mean it, Lena. This isn't a game. People will die tonight. Might be theirs. Might be ours. You need to understand what you're walking into. I understand. Do you? Because there's no going back after this. Whatever happens at that warehouse, whatever we find, you'll carry it. The rest of your life. She looked at him steadily. I'm already carrying things I'll never put down. What's one more? He couldn't argue with that. At 11:30 that night, Adrian's team assembled 3 blocks from Pier 17. 4 vehicles, 12 people, enough firepower to start a small war. Marcus had coordinated everything, checked and rechecked equipment, mapped entry points and exit routes. Lena sat in the back of Adrian's SUV, wearing dark clothes Teresa had found for her. She looked small and out of place among the weapons and tactical gear. Last chance, Adrian said. You can still stay behind. I'm going. Marcus appeared at the driver's window. Everything's set. 2 teams, north and south entrances. We go in fast, secure the perimeter, find Sarah if she's there. And if it's a trap? Adrian asked. Then we shoot our way out and hope for the best. Inspiring. You want inspiring? Talk to a motivational speaker. Ideal in reality. Adrian checked his weapon. Checked it again, even though he'd already checked it 3 times. Let's move. They drove the final 3 blocks with headlights off. The warehouse loomed ahead, dark except for a single light over the main entrance. 2 cars parked outside. Guards visible near the door. Marcus's voice came through the radio. South team in position. North team ready, someone else confirmed. Adrian looked at Lena. Stay in the car. Lock the doors. If shooting starts, you get down and stay down. I know. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. If it does, Marcus will get you out. Trust him. She nodded. He could see fear in her eyes now. Good. Fear kept you sharp. Adrian got out, moved toward the warehouse with 3 others. The north team would breach simultaneously from the opposite side. Timing was everything. They reached the side door. One of his people, a man named Davis, who'd been with him for 6 years, worked on the lock. 30 seconds. 45. The lock clicked. Breach in 3, Marcus said over the radio. 2, 1, go. They went through fast and hard. Adrian led, weapon up, scanning for targets. The warehouse was massive, mostly empty. Shipping containers stacked along one wall. Office space in the back. No obvious guards inside. Too quiet. South team, what do you see? Adrian said into his radio. Nothing. Place is empty. Wrong. This was wrong. Adrian felt it in his gut, that instinct that had kept him alive through a dozen situations that should have killed him. Pull back, he said. Everyone out. Now. Adrian? Marcus started. Out. It's a trap. They turned to leave. The doors they'd entered through slammed shut. Locks engaged with heavy metallic thuds. Lights blazed on, fluorescent and blinding. Adrian blinked, trying to adjust. Men emerged from behind the shipping containers. A lot of men. 20, maybe more. All armed. Adrian's team clustered together, weapons aimed outward, badly outnumbered, badly positioned. A man stepped forward from the group. 50s, gray hair, expensive suit that looked wrong in a warehouse. He had the kind of face that had given orders for violence so long he didn't even think about it anymore. Mr. Voss, the man said with a slight Russian accent. Thank you for coming. Sergei, I presume. You presume correctly. Please. Lower your weapons. You're surrounded. This doesn't need to end in bloodshed. Where's Sarah Chen? Safe. For now. Depending on how this conversation goes. Adrian kept his weapon up. So did his team. Across the warehouse, he could see Marcus and the South team in a similar situation. What do you want? Adrian asked. The same thing I wanted 48 hours ago. The account's unfrozen. Your interference ended. Can't do that. Can't or won't. Both. Sergei smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. You're very stubborn, admirable in a way, but foolish. Been called worse, I'm sure. But stubbornness only works when you have leverage. You have none. I have your people. I have Sarah Chen. I have all the advantages. If you're going to kill us, get on with it. I don't need the speech. Sergei's smile faded. You misunderstand. I don't want to kill you. I want to make a deal. I'm listening. You unfreeze the accounts. I release your people and Sarah. Everyone walks away. Simple. And Lena? What about her? She goes free. Clean break. No retaliation from you or Victor. Sergei considered. That would be difficult. Victor has invested considerable resources in her. Has plans. Victor's plans are his problem. Victor works for me. His problems are my problems. Not anymore. He stole your money, spread it across multiple identities, made himself indispensable to your operation. That sound like an employee or someone building his own empire? The words landed. Adrian saw it in Sergei's face, a flicker of doubt. You're trying to turn me against my own people, Sergei said. I'm pointing out facts. Victor Hale has been skimming, using women's identities to hide assets, building a safety net for himself because he knows eventually you'll either kill him or he'll need to disappear. Either way, he's prepared. Are you? Sergei's expression hardened. Victor has been loyal for 5 years. Has he? Then why didn't he tell you about Jennifer Morrison? About Patricia Valdez? About the 3 other accounts he opened without your knowledge? You're lying. Am I? Ask him. See what he says. See if he can explain where all that money came from and why it's not in your books. One of Sergei's men leaned in, whispered something. Sergei's face went cold. Whatever the man said, it confirmed something. Where is Hale now? Sergei asked quietly. Don't know. Don't care. You should care. He's been calling me for 2 days, demanding I kill you, demanding I get his woman back. Very insistent, very emotional, not like a loyal employee, like a desperate man. Adrian lowered his weapon slightly, not surrendering, just showing he was willing to talk. Give me Sarah Chen. Let my people go. I'll give you something worth more than Lena Cross. What could you possibly have that I want? Evidence? Documents showing exactly where Victor's been moving your money, how much he's taken, where he's hidden it. Everything you need to prove he's been stealing from you for years. Sergei studied him. Even if I believed you had such evidence, why would you give it to me? Because Victor Hale needs to go down. I don't care who does it. You, me, the police, doesn't matter, as long as he's gone. You hate him that much? I hate what he represents. Men who think they're untouchable, who hurt people because they can, because no one stops them. Noble, naive, but noble. Is it naive if it works? Sergei was quiet for a long moment. His men shifted, weapons still trained on Adrian's team. The warehouse felt like a held breath. Show me this evidence, Sergei said finally. Adrian pulled out his phone slowly, pulled up files Chen had compiled, transaction records, account numbers, dates and amounts, proof of 5 years of systematic theft. He held up the screen. Sergei took the phone, scrolled through. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. When he looked up, his eyes were colder than before. This is authentic? Yes. Can you prove it? The man who compiled it is outside, financial investigator, best in the city. He can walk you through every transaction. Sergei handed the phone back, looked at his men. Some unspoken communication passed between them. Here is my offer, Sergei said. You give me all the evidence, everything this investigator has compiled. You unfreeze enough accounts to recover my money, not Victor's money, mine. You walk away and never speak of this again. And Sarah Chen? Released, along with your people. And Lena Cross? I don't care about Lena Cross. She was Victor's obsession, not mine. She can go wherever she wants. What about Victor? Sergei's smile returned, sharp and cold. Victor will be handled, internally. Which meant Victor was a dead man. Adrian should feel something about that. Relief, maybe. Satisfaction. He felt nothing, just tired. Deal, Adrian said. You agree very quickly. Because it's the right move. We both get what we want. Victor gets what he deserves. Clean resolution. Nothing about this is clean, Mr. Voss. But it will suffice. Sergei gave orders in Russian. His men lowered their weapons. The doors unlocked with the same heavy thud they'd locked with. Across the warehouse, Marcus and the South team relaxed slightly. Sarah Chen is in the office, Sergei said, pointing toward the back. Your people may retrieve her. The investigator outside. Bring him in. We will discuss details. Adrian nodded to Marcus. Marcus moved toward the office with two others. Adrian called Chen, told him to come inside. While they waited, Sergei said, "You fight for people. Why?" "Someone has to. There are millions of people who need fighting for. You can't save them all." "No, but I can save some. And that's enough for you." Adrian thought about Lena in the SUV outside, about Sarah Chen in the office, about his sister, 15 years dead, who no one had saved. "It has to be," he said. Marcus emerged from the office, supporting Sarah Chen. She looked rough, bruised, scared, but alive. She saw Adrian, and something like hope flickered in her eyes. "Get her to the hospital," Adrian told Marcus. "Private room, security on the door." Marcus nodded, helped Sarah toward the exit. Chen arrived, looking nervous. Adrian briefed him quickly. Chen's eyes went wide when he understood who Sergei was, but he nodded. Professional to the end. "Show him everything," Adrian said. "Answer all his questions." "What about client confidentiality?" "Victor Hale isn't your client. He's evidence. Show him." Chen pulled out his laptop. He and Sergei moved to a makeshift table, a shipping container pushed against the wall. They began going through files. Adrian walked outside. The night air felt good after the warehouse's fluorescent staleness. His team was already loading into vehicles, checking weapons, dealing with the adrenaline crash that came after situations like this. He found his SUV. Lena sat in the back seat, exactly where he'd left her. She looked up when he opened the door. "Is it over?" she asked. "Part of it." "Did you find her?" "Yeah, she's alive. Marcus is taking her to the hospital." Relief flooded Lena's face. "And us? We wait. Sergei's reviewing evidence. If he's satisfied, we walk. And if he's not? We run. Fast." She almost smiled. "That's simple." "Nothing's simple, but sometimes you get lucky." They sat in silence. Around them, the city hummed. Traffic on distant streets, a siren somewhere. Normal sounds from a normal night, like people weren't negotiating life and death in a warehouse 50 feet away. "What about Victor?" Lena asked. "Sergei's handling it." "What does that mean?" "It means Victor's not your problem anymore." "He's going to kill him." "Probably." "Should I feel bad about that? Do you?" She thought about it. "No? Is that wrong?" "I'm the wrong person to ask." 20 minutes later, Chen emerged from the warehouse. He walked to the SUV, leaned in the window. "We're good," he said. "Sergei's satisfied, says we can go." "That's it?" "That's it. He's got bigger problems now. Victor's been stealing millions. Sergei's people are already moving to freeze him out, seize assets, the whole thing. Victor's done." Adrian looked back at the warehouse. Sergei stood in the doorway, watching. He raised one hand, not a wave, an acknowledgement. Adrian nodded back. "Let's go," he said. They drove away from the warehouse, away from Pier 17, back toward the safe house. No one followed. The nightmare for now was over. In the back seat, Lena stared out the window at the passing city. What happens now? Now you disappear. New identity, new city, fresh start. Just like that? Just like that. And you? Back to business, same as always. Will I see you again? Adrian glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Better if you don't. Clean break is safest. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. She went quiet. They drove through empty streets, past closed shops and dark windows. The city sleeping, unaware that one more small war had ended in its shadows. At the safe house, Teresa met them at the door. "Michael Cross is here." Lena's head snapped up. "My brother?" "Showed up an hour ago. We've been keeping him downstairs. Wanted to wait until you got back." Lena was out of the vehicle before Adrian could say anything, moving faster than she should, favoring her ribs but not stopping. She disappeared into the building. Adrian followed more slowly, found her in the ground floor sitting room, wrapped in a hug with a man who looked like her. Same dark hair, same brown eyes, same stubborn set to the jaw. Michael Cross was taller than Adrian expected, early 30s, wearing wrinkled clothes like he'd dressed in a hurry and driven through the night. He saw Adrian and stiffened, one hand moving protectively to Lena's shoulder. "You boss?" Michael asked. "Yeah. You the one who's been keeping my sister locked up?" I'm the one who kept her alive. Michael, stop, Lena said. He helped me. Victor, her voice caught. Victor was going to kill me. Adrian saved my life. Michael looked between them. I got a message 2 days ago, anonymous number. Said Lena was safe but couldn't contact me directly. Said to wait. I've been going crazy. Sorry for that, Adrian said. Necessary precaution. Victor had eyes on you. Couldn't risk contact until we knew it was safe. And now it's safe? Now Victor's not your problem anymore. What's that mean? It means Lena can go home, if she wants. Brother and sister looked at each other. Some silent conversation passed between them. I don't think I can go back, Lena said quietly. To the apartment. To any of it. Then you come stay with me, Michael said. Long as you need. We'll figure it out. It's not that simple. There are things I need to tell you. About the money, about what Victor was doing. Don't care, you're my sister. We'll handle whatever comes. Adrian watched them, feeling like an intruder on a private moment. He started to leave. Wait, Lena said. She disentangled from Michael, walked to Adrian. Thank you. For everything. Just did what needed doing. No. You did more than that. You believed me when no one else would. You took a risk when you didn't have to. I won't forget that. Adrian nodded. Didn't trust himself to say anything more. Lena stood on her toes, kissed his cheek, whispered, Neither will you. Then she stepped back, returned to her brother. They left together, Teresa escorting them to ensure they got away clean. Adrian stood alone in the sitting room, hand touching the spot she'd kissed, already knowing she was right. He wouldn't forget. Outside, the city was turning toward dawn. The warehouse on Pier 17 would be empty now, Sergei and his people gone to handle their Victor problem. Sarah Chen was safe in a hospital somewhere, healing. Lena was reunited with her brother, starting whatever came next. And Adrian was here, same as always, same city, same life. Different ghost to carry. Marcus found him still standing there 20 minutes later. That's it then, Marcus said. We're done? Yeah, we're done. Hail? Sergei's problem now. Good riddance. Marcus paused. You okay? Fine. You don't look fine. When do I ever? Marcus smiled slightly. Fair point. What now? Now we get back to normal. Clean up loose ends. Move on. Just like that? Just like that. But even as he said it, Adrian knew nothing was just like that. Lena Cross had walked into his life for 48 hours and changed something fundamental. Reminded him why he'd started this in the first place. Why he kept going when the easy thing would be to quit. Someone had to fight for people. Might as well be him. He walked outside into the breaking dawn. The city was waking up, traffic building, people starting their days, none of them knowing how close they'd come to another kind of morning. One where Sarah Chen died in a warehouse and Lana Cross never escaped, and Victor Hale continued destroying lives. But that morning didn't happen. This one did. For now, that was enough. 3 weeks passed before Adrian heard from Lena again. He'd been expecting silence. Clean breaks were supposed to stay clean. But his phone rang late on a Tuesday night, her number appearing on the screen like something from another life. I need to see you, she said when he answered. No greeting, no small talk. Why? Because I found something. Something you need to know about. What kind of something? Not over the phone. Can you meet me? Adrian looked around his loft. Papers spread across his desk. Half-finished drink sweating on a coaster, the same view of the city he'd been staring at for 8 years. Nothing had changed. Everything had changed. Where? He asked. There's a coffee shop on 6th, the corner. Tomorrow morning, 9. I'll be there. She hung up without saying goodbye. Marcus raised an eyebrow when Adrian told him about the call. Thought we were done with this. So did I. Could be a setup. Victor might still have reach even with Volkov cutting him loose. Victor's dead, confirmed 3 days ago. Body turned up in the river. Convenient. That's one word for it. So what does she want? Guess I'll find out tomorrow. The corner was exactly what it sounded like. A small cafe tucked into a corner building, the kind of place that served overpriced coffee to people who wanted to feel sophisticated. Adrian arrived 15 minutes early, scanned the interior through the window. Lena sat at a back table, nursing something in a ceramic mug. She'd cut her hair shorter. It made her look older. Or maybe that was everything else. He went inside, ordered black coffee he didn't want, joined her at the table. "You look better," he said. "I feel better, most days." She gestured to her ribs. "These are almost healed. Doctor says another month and I'll be back to normal." Normal's relative, isn't it though? She pulled a folder from her bag, slid it across the table. "I've been going through my old files, things Victor gave me to sign over the years. I thought they were insurance papers, tax documents, standard stuff. They weren't. No, they were authorizations for bank accounts, property transfers, business formations. I signed my name on dozens of documents without knowing what they really were." She tapped the folder. "This is everything I could find. Chen helped me interpret it." "You've been talking to Chen?" "He reached out a week ago, said if I ever needed financial help understanding what Victor did, he'd assist. No charge." "That sounds like Chen." Adrian opened the folder. Inside were copies of documents, highlighted passages, handwritten notes in margins. Chen's work, methodical and thorough. The picture they painted was worse than he'd thought. "Victor didn't just use your identity," Adrian said, scanning the pages. "He built an entire shadow network with you at the center. Companies registered in your name, real estate purchases, investment accounts. Everything traced back to you. Which means legally, I owned it all. On paper, yes. Chen says there's about $12 million in assets, maybe more. All of it purchased with laundered money, but legally mine because my name's on the documents." Adrian looked up from the folder. "That's a problem. That's why I'm here. Volkov's been quiet since the warehouse. But this money, it's theirs. They're going to want it back." "Have they contacted you?" "Not yet. But they will, and when they do, what am I supposed to tell them?" Adrian sat back, thinking. 12 million in assets, legally belonging to Lena, but funded by Russian mob money. She couldn't keep it without becoming a target. Couldn't return it without admitting she knew where it came from. Classic trap. "There might be a way out," he said slowly. "I'm listening. You donate it. All of it. Set up a foundation, a charity, something legitimate. Give the money away to causes that need it. Publicly. Make it very clear that every dollar is going to help people." "And Volkov just accepts that?" "Volkov can't touch money that's been publicly donated to charity. Too much attention, too many questions. They'd have to let it go." Lena considered this. "What kind of charity?" "Your choice. But if I were you, I'd focus on helping women in situations like yours. Domestic violence shelters, legal aid, escape funds. Turn Victor's blood money into something that helps people he would have hurt." Something shifted in Lena's expression. Not quite a smile, but close. "I like that. Victor would hate it." "That's the idea. There's one problem. I don't know how to run a foundation, don't know the first thing about charity work or nonprofit law. So hire people who do. Use some of the money to build infrastructure, hire staff, set up properly. Rest goes to the cause." You make it sound simple. It won't be, but it's possible. A waitress appeared, refilled their coffee without asking. When she left, Lena said, "I saw the news about Victor, about them finding his body." "Yeah." "Did Sergei?" "Probably. Don't know for sure. Don't want to know." "Should I feel guilty that I'm glad he's dead?" "Already asked me that question. My answer hasn't changed." She wrapped both hands around her mug. "Michael thinks I should see a therapist, talk through everything that happened." "That's not bad advice." "Are you seeing anyone? For therapy?" "Yeah." "No." "Why not?" "Because I've made peace with what I am, what I do. Talking about it won't change anything." "That's sad." "Maybe, but it's honest." They sat in silence for a moment, the cafe filled with morning regulars, people ordering complicated drinks, typing on laptops, living ordinary lives. Neither Adrian nor Lena fit here anymore. Maybe they never had. "I want you to help me," Lena said suddenly. "Help you how?" "With the foundation, setting it up, making sure it's done right. You know people, know how things work. I need that. I'm not a lawyer or a businessman. No, but you're someone who keeps promises. Someone who does what he says he'll do. That's rarer than you think." Adrian wanted to say no. Wanted to maintain the distance he'd carefully built over the past 3 weeks. Getting involved again meant complications, meant risking the clean break they'd both supposedly wanted. But he looked at her sitting there with her shorter hair and her healing bruises and her determination to turn horror into help, and he heard himself say, "Okay, okay, I'll help, connect you with the right people, make introductions. But this is your thing, your foundation. I'm just support. That's all I'm asking." They finished their coffee, made plans to meet with Chen and some nonprofit attorneys Marcus knew. As they stood to leave, Lena said, "There's something else." "What?" "Sarah Chen. She wants to be involved too, with the foundation. Says if we're helping women escape situations like ours, she wants to help." "You've talked to her?" "Few times. She's struggling. What happened in that warehouse? It changed her. She can't go back to her old life. Needs something to focus on. Foundation work isn't therapy." "No, but purpose helps. You taught me that." Adrian hadn't taught her anything. She'd learned it herself, the hard way. But he didn't correct her. Over the next 6 weeks, the foundation took shape. Chen handled the financial architecture, setting up accounts and structures that were legally bulletproof. The attorneys drafted articles of incorporation, obtained nonprofit status, created bylaws and governance procedures. Sarah Chen threw herself into research, identifying existing organizations they could partner with, gaps in services they could fill. Lena ran it all with surprising competence. She'd spent 2 years with Victor learning how to manage complex systems, even if she hadn't known that's what she was doing. Now she applied those skills to something that mattered. Adrian watched from the periphery, making introductions when needed, solving problems that couldn't be solved through official channels. He tried to stay distant, tried to maintain boundaries. Failed at both. The truth was, watching Lena build something from the wreckage of her worst experiences reminded him why he'd gotten into this business in the first place, before it became routine, before he'd stopped seeing the people and started seeing only the problems. Marcus noticed the change. "You're different lately." "How so?" "Less cynical, almost optimistic. It's disturbing." "I'm not optimistic." "You smiled yesterday. Actual smile." "Thought I was hallucinating." "I don't smile." "Exactly. Which is why it was disturbing." They were in Adrian's office, reviewing reports on their various operations. Business had continued while Adrian was distracted, running itself through momentum and good people. But there were always fires to put out, always situations requiring attention. "Moretti's asking for a meeting," Marcus said. "Says he wants to discuss territory." Moretti ran the South Side, an old-school operator who'd been in the game longer than Adrian had been alive. They'd maintained a careful peace for years, neither side pushing into the other's space. "What's he want to discuss?" Adrian asked. "Didn't say, but he's been expanding lately, opening new operations. Might be looking to renegotiate our arrangement." "Set it up. Neutral location." "When?" "Soon. Next few days." Marcus made a note. "Also heard from one of our sources at the DA's office. They're poking around Victor Hale's old cases. Lots of questions about who he worked for, what he was doing." "They talked to Volkov?" "Can't. Sergei left the country 2 weeks ago. Whole operations restructured. New people in charge." "We know them?" "Not really. They're keeping a low profile, focusing on legitimate business, from what we can tell." Which meant Volkov had learned from the Victor situation. Meant they were being more careful. That was good for everyone. Adrian's phone buzzed. Text from Lena. "Foundation is officially registered. We're real." He texted back, "Congratulations." "Celebration dinner tonight? You, me, Sarah, Michael, Chen. Everyone who helped." He hesitated. Celebrations meant getting closer, meant blurring lines he'd been trying to keep clear. "What time?" he sent. 7, Italian place on 3rd, Carmine's. "I'll be there." Marcus was watching him with an amused expression. "That her? Mind your business." "You like her?" "I respect what she's doing." "You like her?" Adrian didn't respond. Marcus laughed. "About time you found someone who could keep up with you," Marcus said. "It's not like that." "Sure it's not." "She's rebuilding her life. Last thing she needs is complications." "Maybe complications are exactly what she needs. What you both need." "You're a romantic now?" "I'm observant. And I observe that you're happier when she's around. Less likely to brood. Almost human." I don't brood. You absolutely brood. It's your primary activity. Adrian threw a pen at him. Marcus dodged, still laughing. The dinner that night was smaller than Lena had planned. Chen couldn't make it. Business in another city. Michael had a work emergency. So it ended up being Adrian, Lena, and Sarah at a corner table in Carmine's, a family-run Italian place that had been around since before Adrian was born. Sarah looked better than she had at the warehouse, still carrying trauma in her eyes, but functioning. She'd started therapy, she told them, was working through things. The foundation gave her purpose when everything else felt overwhelming. I want to thank you, she said to Adrian over appetizers, for coming for me. You didn't know me, had no reason to risk your people, but you came anyway. Wasn't just me, was everyone. Still, you came. Not many people would have done that. Adrian didn't know how to respond to that, settled for, you're welcome. They talked about the foundation's plans. First goal was partnering with existing shelters, providing additional funding and resources. Second was creating an emergency fund for women who needed to disappear quickly. Money for hotels, transportation, legal fees, whatever it took to get safe. Third was longer-term support, job training, housing assistance, rebuilding lives. It's ambitious, Sarah said. Maybe too ambitious. Nothing wrong with ambitious, Lena replied. We've got $12 million. Might as well use it to change lives. That money won't last forever. No, but by the time it runs out, we'll have proven the model works. Then we can fundraise, expand, make it sustainable. Adrian listened to them plan, watched Lena's face light up when she talked about helping people. This was what healing looked like, he realized. Not forgetting what happened, not pretending the damage didn't exist, but building something new from the pieces, something better than what came before. What about you? Lena asked him suddenly. What's next for Adrian Voss? Same as always, running my operation, keeping the peace. That's it? No bigger plans? I'm not a big plans kind of person. I don't believe that. You helped me build this foundation. You see the potential in helping people. Why not do more of it? What I do isn't legal, can't exactly advertise. No, but you could be more intentional about who you help, how you help. Make it part of your business instead of a side project. Sarah nodded. She's right. You've got resources, connections, skills most people don't have. You could help a lot of people if you wanted to. Adrian shifted uncomfortably. I'm not a hero, don't want to be one. Heroes are overrated anyway, Lena said. I'm talking about just being human, seeing people who need help and helping them. You're already doing it. Just own it. The waiter brought their entrees. The conversation shifted to safer topics, movies they'd seen, books they'd read, normal things normal people talked about over dinner. But Lena's words stuck with Adrian, made him think about his operation differently. He'd built his business around control and profit, around being untouchable, around never getting too involved in individual stories because individual stories were messy and complicated and got you killed. But Lena's story had gotten him more involved than he'd been in years, and he was still alive. More than that, he felt more alive than he had in a long time. Maybe there was something to what she was saying. After dinner, Adrian walked Lena to her car. Sarah had already left, headed to her apartment on the north side where she'd moved after being released from the hospital. Thank you for coming tonight, Lena said. I know this isn't really your scene. What makes you think that? Please, I've seen where you work. Your office looks like a command center. She gestured at the restaurant. This is too normal for you. Maybe I could use more normal. Could you? Or would you be bored in a week? Don't know. Never tried it long enough to find out. They reached her car. She unlocked it but didn't get in. Can I ask you something personal? You can ask. Why did you really come that night? The real reason. Not the line about your sister or doing what's right. What actually made you get in that car? Adrian looked at her, saw her standing there in the glow of a streetlight, waiting for honesty. He owed her that much. Because I'm tired of watching people suffer and doing nothing, he said. Tired of being angry at a system that doesn't work and never doing anything to fix it. Your message, it was an opportunity to actually help instead of just complaining. So I took it. That's simple? That's simple. And now? Do you regret it? No. Not even a little? Not even a little, she smiled, Real and warm and nothing like the scared woman on the marble floor 6 weeks ago. Good, because I don't regret it either. Any of it, even the hard parts. The hard parts aren't over. You know that, right? Building this foundation, helping people, it's going to bring up everything you've been through, remind you constantly. I know, but maybe that's the point. Maybe remembering keeps me sharp, keeps me focused on why it matters. Adrian understood that. He'd been using anger as fuel for 8 years. Maybe Lena could use purpose the same way. When do you officially launch? He asked. 2 weeks. We're doing a small event, press release, some media coverage. Nothing huge, but enough to get the word out. You need security for that? Why would I? She stopped. You think there's still a threat? Always a threat. But specifically, once you go public with what this foundation is and where the money came from, people are going to ask questions. Some of those people might not like the answers. You mean Volkov? Among others, Victor had friends, associates, people who benefited from his operation. They might see you as a problem. Lena's expression hardened. Let them. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to be smart. Let me put people on your event. Make sure nothing goes wrong. Okay, but I pay for it. Foundation funds. I'm not a charity case. Lena, I mean it. You've done enough. Let me handle my own security. Fine. Invoice you for services rendered. Thank you. She got in her car, rolled down the window. Adrian, one more thing. Yeah? Whatever happens next, with the foundation, with Volkov, with whatever comes, I'm glad it was you. That night, I'm glad I sent that message to you instead of Michael. Why? Because Michael would have called the police, would have done everything right, everything legal, and I'd probably be dead. You did everything wrong, everything illegal, and I'm alive. Sometimes wrong is exactly right. She drove away before he could respond. Adrian stood on the sidewalk, watching her taillights disappear into traffic, thinking about right and wrong and all the space between. The foundation launch happened on a Wednesday afternoon in a rented event space downtown. About 50 people showed up: journalists, activists, representatives from other nonprofits, curious onlookers. Adrian's security team blended into the crowd, invisible but present. Lena gave a speech that was brave and honest and made half the room cry. She talked about her experience without naming Victor, talked about the isolation, the fear, the moment she thought she was going to die. Then she talked about the text message that changed everything, about finding help in an unexpected place, about choosing to turn trauma into purpose. Sarah spoke too, shorter but no less powerful. She described being taken, being terrified, being rescued by people who owed her nothing, described deciding to help others the way she'd been helped. Together, they unveiled the foundation's name, Second Chance, simple and direct, no pretense. Adrian watched from the back of the room, scanning for threats out of habit, but mostly just listening. Marcus stood beside him, also listening. She's good at this, Marcus said quietly. Yeah. You gonna tell her how you feel? Feel about what? Don't play dumb. You're terrible at it. I don't feel anything. I'm helping with a project. Sure. That's why you've been to every planning meeting, why you personally vetted her security team, why you're standing here instead of working. It's a Wednesday afternoon. I can take a few hours. You never take a few hours. Adrian didn't respond. On stage, Lena was taking questions from reporters, handling them smoothly, never getting rattled, always bringing it back to the mission. The event ended around 4. People mingled, exchanged business cards, promised to stay in touch. Adrian's security team did a final sweep, confirmed no problems, packed up their equipment. Lena found Adrian as the crowd thinned. Thank you for this, for all of it. You did the work. I just made some calls. Don't diminish what you've done. You made this possible. You made this possible. I just removed obstacles, she laughed. We could argue about this all day. Probably. There's an after party tonight. Small thing, just the core team and a few supporters. You should come. I should get back to work. Adrian, come to the party. He looked at her, saw hope in her eyes. Maybe something more than hope. What time? He asked. 8, Sarah's place. I'll think about it. That means no. That means I'll think about it. He left before she could argue. Had work to do, calls to make, business that couldn't wait. But all afternoon he thought about the party, about Lena asking him to come, about what it meant that she kept asking him to be part of her life instead of letting him stay on the edges. At 7:30, Marcus stuck his head into Adrian's office. You going? To what? The party. Don't pretend you don't know about it. I'm working. You're brooding. There's a difference. I don't brood. You've said the same thing 5 times today. It's still not true. Marcus leaned against the door frame. Go to the party, see what happens. Worst case, you have a drink and leave early. Best case? That's up to you. Adrian arrived at Sarah's apartment at 8:15, fashionably late or avoiding commitment. He wasn't sure which. The apartment was full but not crowded. Maybe 20 people, music playing, conversations flowing. Normal party things. Lena saw him come in, smiled, crossed the room. You came! Said I'd think about it. Thinking's overrated. Want a drink? Sure. She got him a beer, got herself wine. They stood by the window overlooking the street, watching people below go about their lives. I got a call today, Lena said, from one of Volkov's lawyers. Adrian tensed. What did they want? To confirm that all of Victor's assets had been transferred to the foundation, to verify that the money was being used for charitable purposes. What did you tell them? The truth. Sent them our registration documents, tax filings, everything. Made it very clear that the money's gone and not coming back. How did they respond? Said their clients considered the matter closed. As long as the foundation continues operating legally, there won't be any problems. Adrian let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. That's good. That's very good. Is it over then? Really over? Looks like it. She took a sip of wine. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something else to go wrong. Something else probably will go wrong. That's life. But this particular thing, yeah, it's over. Then we actually did it. We won. You won. I just helped. There you go again, diminishing your role. It's not diminishing. It's accurate. She shook her head, but she was smiling. Around them, the party continued, people laughing, talking, celebrating, building community around a shared purpose. Can I ask you something? Lena said. You ask me a lot of questions. This one's important. Okay. What are you afraid of? The question landed like a punch. Adrian looked at her. What kind of question is that? An honest one. You help people. You care about people. But you keep everyone at arm's length. Why? Because caring about people gets them killed. That's not true. It's true enough. Your sister died because people didn't help her. I know, I was there. But I've also seen people die because I got too close. Because I cared too much and made mistakes. So your solution is to never care at all? My solution is to help from a distance. Safer for everyone. Safer, lonelier, but safer. He didn't argue. Couldn't argue. I'm not asking you to change who you are, Lena said. I'm just asking you to consider that maybe keeping everyone away isn't protecting them. Maybe it's just protecting you. From what? From being hurt again. From losing someone else you care about. Adrian looked out the window. Traffic flowing below. City lights reflecting in glass. Everything continuing indifferent to individual pain. I should go, he said. Don't. Lena, stay, please. Just for a little while, stop running. He almost left anyway. Almost walked out the door and back to his safe, controlled life, where nothing unexpected happened and no one got too close. Instead, he stayed. They talked for hours, about everything and nothing, about her plans for the foundation, his concerns about expansion, about movies they'd seen, places they'd traveled, dreams they'd given up on, and ones they hadn't. Around midnight, people started leaving. Sarah hugged everyone goodbye, thanked them for coming. Soon it was just Adrian, Lena, and Sarah cleaning up cups and plates in comfortable silence. I like this, Sarah said suddenly. Us. This team feels right. It does, Lena agreed. She looked at Adrian. Doesn't it? Yeah, he said. It does. Later, walking Lena to her car for the second time in 2 weeks, Adrian said, I can't promise you anything. I'm not asking for promises. I'm not good at relationships, at letting people in. I'm not good at trusting people, at believing I deserve better. Guess we're both works in progress. That doesn't bother you? Why would it? Perfect is boring. I'll take real over perfect any day. They reached her car. She turned to face him. I'm going to kiss you now, she said. Unless you object. I don't object. She kissed him. Soft at first, then deeper. Adrian let himself fall into it, let the walls come down just enough. When they broke apart, she said, Was that wrong? Probably. Do you care? Not as much as I should? Good, because I'm going to keep doing it. Okay. Okay? Okay. She laughed, got in her car, rolled down the window. See you tomorrow? Where? Foundation office. We're interviewing potential staff. Could use your input. I'm not qualified to interview nonprofit staff. You're qualified to spot bullshit. That's what I need. Fine. What time? 10. I'll be there. She drove away. Adrian stood there longer than necessary, feeling something he hadn't felt in years, something dangerous and hopeful and terrifying. Marcus was going to be insufferable about this. 6 months later, the Second Chance Foundation had helped 43 women escape dangerous situations, provided emergency funding, legal support, temporary housing, connected them with resources, rebuilt lives, created safety where none had existed. Lena ran it with Sarah and a growing staff of dedicated people who believed in the mission. Adrian helped when asked, stayed away when not needed, found a balance between involvement and distance that worked for both of them. They weren't perfect, fought sometimes, disagreed about strategy and risk and how much Adrian should be doing versus how much Lena should handle alone. But they figured it out, kept figuring it out. Adrian's business continued. He still operated in shadows, still did things that couldn't stand legal scrutiny, but he was more intentional now about who he helped and why. More willing to get involved in individual stories instead of just solving problems from a distance. Marcus said he'd gone soft. Adrian said Marcus could shut up. They both knew the truth was somewhere in between. On a random Thursday evening, Adrian and Lena sat in his loft eating takeout and watching the city lights. Comfortable silence between them, the kind that came from knowing someone well enough that words weren't always necessary. I got an email today, Lena said, from a woman in Chicago. She heard about the foundation, wants to start something similar there. That's good. It is, but it made me think, what if we expanded? Not just funding local programs, but helping people start foundations in other cities, creating a network. That's ambitious. Too ambitious? No, just ambitious. There's a difference. She smiled. You've changed, you know. 6 months ago, you would have said it was too risky. 6 months ago, you would have been too afraid to suggest it. We've both changed. For better or worse. Definitely better. His phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Problem on the south side. Moretti's people causing trouble. Need you. Adrian showed Lena the message. I have to go. I know. Don't know when I'll be back. I know that too. He stood, grabbed his jacket. She walked him to the door. Be careful, she said. Always am. That's not true. But I appreciate the lie. He kissed her, quick and certain. I'll call you when I'm done. Okay. He left, headed to whatever crisis Marcus had found, back to his world of violence and negotiation and walking lines most people didn't know existed. But now there was something else, someone waiting, someone who knew what he did and didn't ask him to change but challenged him to be better anyway. The text message sent to the wrong number had changed both their lives. Lena had gotten a chance to rebuild. Adrian had remembered why rebuilding mattered. Some mistakes turned out to be the best decisions you never knew you were making. The city sprawled before him as he drove through the night, full of people who needed helping and people who needed stopping and the complicated mess of everything in between. He'd spent years trying to control that mess, trying to impose order on chaos. Now he understood you couldn't control it. You could only choose which side you were on and who you were willing to fight for. He'd made his choice. The woman on the marble floor had made hers. And together, they'd built something worth protecting from the wreckage of everything that tried to destroy them.